I have done several videos on VLOOKUP, and I'm sure many of you can now use VLOOKUP very well, especially those I taught in my last training. But I want to bring out some other components of VLOOKUP that you may not have known before now. In VLOOKUP, we have what we call exact match and approximate match. Exact match and approximate match. What do they mean and how do we use them? By the word exact match, it's an English word, the way you know exact to be, exactly this. That is how this thing operates too. So by exact match, we mean that VLOOKUP should search for any ID I put here. If it is ID EID 004, it's going to search for that EID 004. If there is another thing like EID 004.1, it will not search for it, it will not pick it, because it is not the exact match. Alright? So we are looking for the exact match. Some say if it is not Panadol, then it is not Panadol. So it has to be exact match of what we are looking for. But in approximate match, just like the name, approximate. So it will just be an approximate. If you can't get the exact, just get the closest to it, or approximate. Some persons are saying XLOOKUP is better than VLOOKUP, VLOOKUP is better than XLOOKUP. Yes, we know that VLOOKUP has some constraints, but if you know how to use the exact match and the approximate match, you are good with VLOOKUP. You can use it to achieve your result. Now watch your screen. This is a table I have. We have an employee ID, an employee name, and their department. This is the table. So now we want to look up the employee IDs, then and get the employee names here on this column, and also the departments they belong to here. So now when you apply the formula VLOOKUP, you say equal to VLOOKUP, then you open a bracket. As soon as you open a bracket, you see the components of VLOOKUP. See how the arguments are built up. Now let's analyze them one after the other. The next argument I want to make now is the lookup value. That's why this lookup value here is bolder than the rest that are there on that row. Lookup value. So what do you mean by lookup value? It means what do we want to search for? What do we want to look out for? So in this case, we want to look up the employee ID, that is this cell A4. Alright? So as soon as you put a comma, it will now shift to another argument. That is the table array. That's why table array is bold here. This table array. So what do you mean by table array? It means from where are you going to look up this value? Where are you going to look up this value from? So in this case now, I want to look up this value from this table you are seeing here. I can select just these two columns because I want just the employee's name in this my argument now. I just want this employee name, so I can just highlight these two columns. That is my table array. Now if I put another comma, the argument will now shift, asking me column index number. What do you mean by column index number? It's asking you from which column do you want me to pick a data and return for you. So we want column 2. This is column 1. This is column 2. So we want from column 2. So we'll now just press 2. Actually, this is the end of this formula. Or in another way, let me say, this is the end of the compulsory part of the formula. The other part that is left is optional. How do you know that it's optional? If I put a comma here, you see, it gives me another argument. which is range lookup. And in bracket, you are saying true. You see true here. You see false here. And how do you know it is not compulsory? It's optional because there is a bracket before it. So as you are seeing that bracket, it means if you like, put it. If you don't like, you can leave it. However, if you don't put anything, it will assume a default value of true. You see, we have true on top here. We have false here. The true means approximate match. The false means exact match. So this demonstration is for exact match. So I will choose false. I can type false here. I'll close the brackets and press enter. Can you see that it has returned Kate Bello? Now let's look for Kate Bello on the list. Look at Kate Bello. Kate Bello has this ID. Then if you change the ID to this one, you see it changes. ID number 3 is Calamendis. Number 3, Calamendis. Are you seeing it? So any ID number you choose, it changes the value on the employee name. All right. Now we want to get the departments. We are using the same VLOOKUP and we are using exact match. I will discuss approximate match just immediately after now. So now we say equal to VLOOKUP. We open a bracket. Lookup value. We are also looking up the same value in cell A4. All right. Then a comma. Table array. Because we want to get from this department, we want to get the department which is column 3. This is column 1, column 2, and column 3. So I can highlight the entire table. You know, the first time I just highlighted only those 2 columns because what I wanted were all in the 2 columns. But now, some of the data I want now is in the 3rd column. So I have to highlight the entire table. Okay, so I put a comma, column index, column number 3. I put 3 there. Like I said earlier, if I stop here and close the bracket, it will work, but it will work as approximate match because that is the default setting of Microsoft Excel. So, but we are not we are not doing approximate match right now. We are doing exact match. So I'll put a comma and say 0. I'm using 0 just to let you know that false and 0 mean the same thing. In the first time, I use false. This second time now, I'm using 0. They mean the same thing. I just want to make sure you understand the rudiment of VLOOKUP. So I'll close the bracket and press enter. So ID number 9 is Ivy Lopez and it's in procurement department. So if we change this ID to any other number like number 7, the whole thing will change. It now has Grace Nwankwo in legal department. If you see change it to any other number like ID 4, it changes to David Leo in IT department. For some of you who may be wondering, how did I do this drop down menu, this list here you are seeing? I use data validation. I do not have that time to teach it now because I've taught this thing severally in some of my videos. Especially in my last training, I taught this thing we spent some time here in teaching this data validation. And all my students can now create drop-down menu. So if you miss that training, you can download the video. The link to the video is on my bio. This is it here. That is the link. So just click on that link, you download the video and learn how we did that drop-down menu. Now let's go back to our discussion. So this is all you need to know about VLOOKUP for now. Now let's talk about approximate match. I want to use a different data to explain approximate match. Now let's move to this other data we are going to use for the approximate match. If you look at this table very well, you see that we have a low end and high end column and also a tax rate column. So now we have a range of figures here. We have from 0 to 49,999, from 50 to 99,999. It's a range. Now I want to look at for these figures in this other small table and return their tax rate. But if you check very well, you cannot find 40,000 in the main table we are going to set sheet from. That is why we will apply approximate match. Because the system cannot find 40,000, it will now go to the closest place where you have the 40,000. Likewise, the 160,000 and the 210,000. You can't see these figures in this table, but the system will use its initiative to give us an approximate match. So now let's go like this. Equal to VLOOKUP. I will open a bracket. We are looking up, say, okay, lookup value. We are looking up this value. All right. Then I'll put a comma. Lookup array or table array. We are selecting the entire table. I'll put a comma. Then column index. We want to return column 3. This column here. Tax rate. Column 3. And if I stop here, it's fine because the system will assume approximate match. On the other hand, I can put a comma and put true. I can also remove the true and put 1. They are all the same thing. So let me leave 1 as it is and close the bracket and press enter. Can you see? To get 40,000 is giving us this 0.1. 0.1 is written as 10%. But let me format it so that you understand. Okay. All right. So there is no 40,000 in the table, but it has searched and see that 40,000 falls in the range of this one from 0 to 49. That is where you can see 40,000. That is why it has returned 10%, and which is very, very correct. Now, because I want to drag this formula down and I don't want to have any error with the formula, I want to lock this table here. So I'll press F4 and I press enter. I've taught this severally, especially those that were in my training session. I taught extensively this topic. We created a table. This table you call, when we were small, then we call it multiplication table, where you have 2 times 1, 2, 2 times 2, 4, 2 times 4, 8. We use a formula to derive that table in just few seconds. But for you to do that, you have to apply what we call the absolute referencing, the mixed referencing, and the relative referencing. So we mixed these 3 referencing methods to achieve that table, and the whole students, all of them, understood that topic, and I gave them an assignment to do right there, and they were able to do it, and they got it correctly. The ones that failed it initially, they tried again and they got it. So if you also want to know more about absolute referencing, relative referencing, and mixed referencing, then download that video on my link. So just download it and you will learn it. We spend so much time there because it is 3 in 1: absolute, mixed, and relative. So we spent so much time there and everybody was carried along. So just download the video and get it just the way those students have gotten it. Right, now let's move on. So I will now drag this formula down. So if we now check whether the system is correct or not, 160 is giving us 28%. Where can we find 160 here? It will be within this range of 150 to 199. That is where you can have 160. Likewise, that of 210 is giving us 30%. That is this range. So this is how VLOOKUP functions with approximate match and exact match. So if you know how to use this very well, you are good to go. You'll not be clamoring for XLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, and XLOOKUP. However, XLOOKUP is also good because there are some other disadvantages of VLOOKUP. So I will teach that in... Okay, I also taught that in my lesson. I also taught that in my training. So you can also go to that link, download that video, how I taught XLOOKUP and the disadvantages of VLOOKUP, why we migrated to XLOOKUP. It is actually because of the bottlenecks of VLOOKUP that gave rise to XLOOKUP. If you look, some systems, some older versions of Microsoft Excel do not have XLOOKUP formula. It's not there because only VLOOKUP was there. But because of the disadvantage of VLOOKUP, they had to develop another one called XLOOKUP. So I taught that too in my training. You can go down and download it and you will enjoy it. So if you like this video or if you feel you have learned something new today, let me know in the comment section, and don't forget to follow us for more Excel tips like this. I'm open to receiving your questions. In fact, some of the things I teach are the things you ask me, the questions you ask me. So I appreciate that you keep asking me questions on any topic in Excel. Just ask me and I will answer you. Ask on the comment section. My DM is also open to everybody. Send me a DM and I will respond. Ask all your questions. Any topic at all, just ask and I will make our time to do a video on that. I want all of you to save time in your job. I want everybody to be productive. I want us to use our time judiciously. I want us to save time while working. See you in my next video.